Welcome. I'm Misty Jones, Senior Salesforce Administrator from Mutual of Omaha Bank, and you're listening to the WizardCast.
Thank you. Next.
Welcome. I'm Carlos Siqueira, your Salesforce Admin Consultant, and you are listening to the WizardCast.
That was great. Thank you for your time. Next.
Welcome. I'm Steve Harris, Applications Manager from Thompson Pump Manufacturing, and you're listening to the WizardCast.
That was almost perfect, but you're not quite what we're looking for. Next.
I'm Mark Ross from the Claris Group, and you're listening to the WizardCast.
Oh, that was the worst one, yes. I mean, where are you people coming from? Next. No, next.
Hi, I'm Chris Landy, Trailhead and Admin Marketing at Salesforce, and you're listening to the
Next! Oh, how many of these do we have to go through? Next! I'm Brian Kwong.
And I'm Mark Ross.
We're Salesforce experts that love talking about technology and Salesforce.
We also love humor. Doesn't mean we're actually good at it.
In the Salesforce community, I'm known as the Salesforce Wizard, likely due to me wearing a wizard hat at Salesforce events.
And I'm known as Salesforce Yoda for pretty much the same reason.
You should see the ears.
We have a passion to help educate and entertain people.
So we've joined forces to create WizardCast.
We've got tips and best practices.
We talk with interesting people.
All mixed with quote-unquote jokes and humor.
Welcome to the WizardCast. You know, Mark, I hate when politics get into everything.
You mean like how you're bringing it up right now?
No, I mean, look at this change set.
What? Why? What about it?
It's full of deployables.
But that's not, I think, you mean a deployment joke, really?
Really?
Well, you know, I guess one way or the other, it is, yeah, sure. We'll call it good to be back. Yeah. No, I think that works. Not sure why my keys didn't work though.
Oh, the locks got changed.
But what? Why?
Yeah. I sent you the memo to pick up the new keys at the security desk. It's right there on your desk, Mark.
But wait, I have to get into the building to get to the security desk. That doesn't really work.
So anyway, Mark, where the hell have you been? Nowhere of any consequence, or that was being monitored by Interpol. What?
Nothing. Did you know, Brian, that it's actually not that hard to crush a man's skull between one's thighs?
Today's episode is brought to you by the fine people at Marketing R Us.
Now I remember why I left.
Marketing R Us is the premium firm for self-promotion. Hire them to spread the word about Marketing R Us. They're guaranteed to talk about themselves.
All right. Okay, maybe it's just because I've been gone, but this seems like literally the worst fake sponsor spot you have ever done.
Yeah.
Who would buy something for self-promotion?
Yes, self-promotion is pretty terrible. I mean, it's like talking about the automation hour I'll be participating in December, or how you can find fast, easy flow videos on YouTube by simply searching for my name in the words Wizard Apprentice.
Hang on. This was just a ploy to self-promote yourself. Like how I'm speaking at Dreamforce this year. You cad.
Well, as founder and CEO of Marketing House, I'm not just an owner. I'm a customer.
Ba-da-dum-bum.
All right, Mark, you begged for your job back. Here you are. Did you at least do something so we have some content for this episode?
Sure. Yeah. No, I totally did. I actually brought Chris Zullo. He's, Chris, right?
Yeah, we all knew Chris. Yeah.
No, he's great. He's MVP, Marketing Cloud expert, right?
Sure.
See, so here he is.
Mark.
Oh, is that my cue? Are you talking about content?
Yeah. You're the content.
Hi, I'm Chris Zullo from North Kakalaki, and I'm here to audition for Mark's job.
That's pretty good, Chris. That wasn't the script, but okay. We'll put down good voice talent, can't read. Who are you?
I am Chris Zullo from not Charlotte, and Amber will get that one. And I am in the market for a podcast.
Okay, no, whoa. No. My job, my position. Back.
Wait,
No. No.
My agent told me this was a done deal.
He was wrong. He lied. Agents are liars. They're terrible people.
We'll talk
Really?
after the episode, Chris. It's okay.
Okay.
It's okay. He didn't read the fine print in the contract.
Since we've got you here anyway, let's just do this thing.
Yeah. So Mark claims you're an quote expert unquote on Marketing Cloud. I have no idea what that is. I'm assuming it's some sort of cloud that does marketing something.
That is exactly what it is. It's interesting that you asked.
Can you kind of take me on, I don't know, build me some sort of journey to explain to me what exactly Marketing Cloud is.
I see what you did there.
How can you really get me engaged with this particular conversation and maybe make me a convert to want to use Marketing Cloud?
Maybe build an audience out of your proposal as well.
Yeah, and don't give me all the information up front. Feel free to drip it slowly.
Yeah, you don't have to go into a studio and make an ad.
Okay, well, let me just walk back to my studio and start building you that journey. So
much cringing.
Yes, it's so much cringing. Really, with the Marketing Cloud is probably one of the most misunderstood clouds because it's really not all about marketing, which is kind of an interesting conundrum.
I'm sorry, what?
It's yeah. So the Marketing Cloud is so much more than just marketing. So if we were to look at it from the perspective of just communications, engagement, it's really that's what it's all about. And it's not just, hey, can I push a message out? It's about how can I communicate effectively with an audience, where they want to be communicated with at the right time, with the right tone, and on the right channel. So you got web, you got social, you got mobile, you got email. It's so much more than that. You think about customer service, Service Cloud. You got cases, you got correspondence there, and it'd be so much more effective and prettier if you utilized the functionality of a Marketing Cloud or even Pardot, depending on what you're using, as opposed to HTML templates that come out of the box with the core side. Sure, if you have the time and the attention span to build that out to make it more than just plain text, then great, that works, it's free. But if you want to take it to that next level, then you want to look at something like a Marketing Cloud where you can automate components, where you can reduce time, you can make it prettier, and again, there's so many different channels that you can touch and meet them and engage them at the right place. That's what it really comes down to.
So I got a follow-up question, Chris. What is Marketing Cloud?
I am rebranding it officially as the Communication Cloud.
Okay. So maybe you can explain this to me because when I think Salesforce and marketing, I hear Marketing Cloud and I hear Pardot and I hear Social Studio and Radiant 6 and whatever that buddy thing was. So paint me a picture. How does Marketing Cloud fit in with all these disparate pieces of things? I mean, is Pardot part of Marketing Cloud, or is it a subset of Marketing Cloud? Is it something completely different? Is it one or the other?
It's definitely Marketing Cloud. I know that there was some identity crisis for a while there when Salesforce started to get into and expand into the space. They started with the Social Marketing Cloud because it wasn't really a marketing cloud. Back in 2011, I believe they closed on Radiant 6, and then they started adding, they got Buddy Media, Social.com, Exact Target, which came with Pardot. So the way I simplify it is the Marketing Cloud was like a real cloud for Salesforce. You could see it, but you couldn't actually touch it. It wasn't something, it wasn't complete until they added Exact Target and Pardot, because social is as great as social is, and the functionality that Social Studio has, which is basically the merging of, say, Radian 6 and Buddy Media primarily. It really wasn't whole until it added Marketing Cloud or Exact Target, Marketing Cloud, and Pardot.
Okay.
So what? Talk to us about those things, Marketing Cloud and Pardot. If those are like now the meat and potatoes, and everything else is the side dishes.
Yes.
So talk to us about those.
Yeah, because I'm really interested, Chris, because part of my job, I kind of inherited marketing at the company I work for, and so I'm really interested in start doing a lot of mass mailers. So I got a whole bunch of U.S. postal stamps, and I'm itching to use them. So let's go.
You're gonna be disappointed.
Yeah, you want to call my buddy Paul Revere. He can help you with that.
Even said with the accent. Wow, it's very authentic.
Yeah, well, once upon a time. So really, if you look at Pardot and Marketing Cloud as the meat and potatoes, you know, a lot of people also have some confusion as to when and where should I use one versus the other. The common explanation that you will get is that Pardot is B2B, Marketing Cloud is B2C. And on many levels, that's true, that they are in those, and from a certain perspective, they're both optimized for that. But that doesn't mean that's all they can do. You can, and there are, you know, organizations that use Pardot for B2C, and there's people that use Marketing Cloud for B2B. The way to look at it is Pardot, in a lot of ways, is the top of the funnel niche player there. It's, you know, getting that first touch. It's really great for lead scoring, lead nurturing, that first call to action, that first, hey, you know, we want to engage with you. And then look at Marketing Cloud is really it's a platform. It's similar to Salesforce in the sense that it is a platform that you can develop on. There's just a whole lot more. It's just much more feature rich than Pardot. And if you look at sort of like the tiers that Pardot has, you at some point when you get to the end of maximizing your investment in Pardot, it will say if you need X, Y, and Z, go use Marketing Cloud, because it's just so much more robust, you know, as an overall application.
What does it do?
Which one?
Well, you're the Marketing Cloud expert. So.
He said Pardot was. He said that was like lead scoring, lead gen.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's Pardot. And then, so I've been learning a little bit about Marketing Cloud.
Yes.
So Marketing Cloud, then the Marketing Cloud.
Yes.
It's that would be the actual touch point, the reaching out, the engagement. When X happens, do Y. Maybe do Y in 30 days. That's your journey builder and your automation side. There's some of that. Yeah.
So the big claim to fame for Marketing Cloud are two things: Automation Studio and Journey Builder. Automation Studio is very similar to a workflow in Marketing in Salesforce and the core CRM, where really Automation Studio is for scheduling or triggering automations. It basically, you can preset time, day to do something, import a file, transform a file, pull data across from an integrated solution like Salesforce CRM, where the different perspective Journey Builder, think about it as a massive but pretty if-then statement. It's very much like a flow chart. You get decision points. You have, if an action is taken, go down this path. If an action isn't taken, go down this path. And you can utilize time frames. You can have a wait step. You can really branch it into this really rich journey And depending on what the criteria is, you can put people down a lot of different paths. Automation Studio is really on the scheduling side, and the Journey Builder is really more of a reactive application.
So, Chris, I think most everything we've been talking about is kind of intangible. I think it's really difficult for people to kind of wrap their heads around what the heck we're actually talking about. So, Can you paint me a story of how would someone use Marketing Cloud? So as an organization or a business, how would we use Marketing Cloud? How would it look like from the prospect/customer perspective?
Sure.
Give me something colorful that kind of gives some concrete examples to this kind of generalization that we've been having so far.
Yeah, and because the thing is, like, your average Salesforce admin, they may not have had a lot of exposure to Marketing Cloud, so
or
they're like,
marketing.
that's just, so they'll be like, that's just like every other cloud in Salesforce, Service Cloud,
tied to Facebook, Twitter,
Cloud.
and LinkedIn, and
I
have it
can
automatically share blog posts.
Yeah, I can. It'll be in my setup menu in Salesforce, right? I can get to it by searching for marketing in my little search menu in the setup. People don't realize how very different this is.
Yes, that is a great point. So first and foremost, Marketing Cloud is on a completely different code stack. It is not built on the Salesforce platform. Okay, so Marketing Cloud is an integrated solution. So it's a separate program. Okay?
Separate.
Totally separate. You have a separate login. You have a separate password. So if you were to combine any of the core Salesforce clouds with Marketing Cloud, you are in fact going to perform an integration. Okay, so the good news is there is an installed package that will do 99% of the work for you to get the two clouds talking. So you can install this package in Salesforce CRM. There is pretty good documentation on the steps that you take. You just kind of go through the process. They simplify that. So once you have the two applications talking to each other, that's when you can start doing some pretty cool things. You can send an email through the Marketing Cloud from Salesforce, or I can pull data from Salesforce from within Marketing Cloud to send that email out of the Marketing Cloud as well. So it gives you the flexibility to sort of peek in and do or access some of the features from the other side. And what they've really tried to do over the last few releases, and where they're heading, is making it easier for users within Salesforce to send communications from Salesforce utilizing Marketing Cloud functionality that is exposed to the Salesforce user within that environment in just a couple of clicks. They don't have to make the emails. Now it does, if you could assume that somebody has made some pretty looking emails and put them in a folder that is accessible to these users, then at that point they're able to grab that email and say, okay, here's my audience. Let me ask you this: did you know that you can send a Marketing Cloud email to using a Salesforce report?
No.
Nice.
Did you know that you could send a Marketing Cloud email referencing a campaign, a group of campaign members within a campaign?
No.
Well, these are things that you can do once you've integrated.
Nice.
I'm a Pardot user, so I don't get to play with Marketing Cloud. But
talk to me after the
show. Hey, I've already spent my budget with Pardot, so here's the thing, right? I think from a technical standpoint, it sounds interesting, but I still don't understand what can you actually do with Marketing Cloud. So I'm guessing you're doing stuff with social posting or monitoring or something like that. I'm sure you mentioned emails already, so I'm sure there's, wonderful things that, I could do with MailChimp and just spam out emails. You talked about if this, then that. I think that's right.
Okay.
Right?
Yep.
And so I'm assuming based on something, then you can do one of those actions or something. But look from my perspective.
So there's
okay.
email.
So
there's an email.
So I am a potential person for you to reach out to for the Chris Zullo Foundation of Health and Wellness. Okay. What do I experience because you're the expert in Marketing Cloud?
Okay. So let's assume that you have donated to Chris Zullo's foundation, and if you have Chris Zullo's details, can you send them over to me? Because I would love to contribute to it. Sounds like an amazing foundation. I would love to support health and wellness. So just
check and donations can be made out to Brian Kwong and sent to the WizardCast at thewizardnews.com.
Be sure to include a self-addressed stamped bag.
Bog.
So, if you were to donate to Chris Zullo's foundation, upon receipt of that donation, what we could do, we could send you a lovely tote bag. Absolutely. What you could do is you could then trigger an email out thanking them for their donation, because in that case you have a transaction that has occurred. Okay, so as long as Salesforce has visibility of that transaction, you could then create a trigger so that you could then send out a pre-baked email.
And it's not a code trigger.
No
code.
No code.
No code. Got
no
it.
code. Clicks. You could then send out a thank you to them. You could acknowledge, if you wanted, the amount that was contributed, or any other sort of relevant personalization that you could bake into your email. Again, no code. There are simple tags that you could put into that email content, and as long as it's you have a specific trigger, you have the donation trigger, and it maps to a donation email. You then send out that email. You could then use that event to insert this individual into a new journey. We could call it the new donor journey. And then we could do some additional steps, if you will, where we could put them down a few paths. Like, did they open their email within 7 days? If yes, let's send them a follow-up and with, next steps for how they can get more involved. If they didn't, you could send them down another path and say, hey, just wanted to make sure that you got, confirmation that we received your donation. We'd like to give you some additional information about how else you might be able to get involved and support this wonderful foundation. And then, depending on what other, actions you would like them to take, you could then set up additional prompts based on, their responses or, their action or inaction. You could then, put them down additional paths. So that's sort of that's a very common and reasonable use case for an email example. You could apply that to mobile as well.
Text message.
You could use text message, and there's actually two pieces to the mobile studio component, which is a subset of the Marketing Cloud. You have SMS, so you basically have connect and push. Okay, and so you could use that. One is targeted towards SMS, and the other one is you can basically integrate with a mobile app. So if you have like a
notification on your phone.
Yeah, just like those wonderful 9 million a day notifications we all have on our smartphones, you could tie that in to trigger an alert to that app that says, ding, you got a notification, check it out. Or you can use the SMS component as well if it's more of a, hey, we just need to do text messaging and we want to utilize that functionality. Again, similar type of process. And then that's sort of in a vacuum. However, once you've gotten comfortable with both of these, assuming you have the two products, you can then leverage each other to sort of do some cross-posting or prompting where you could have a mobile campaign where you might have a banner at, say, like an event, say, hey, text this code to such and such a number for more information. And then you can send them an automated response where they can then go to a landing page or what is called a cloud page in Marketing Cloud, where they can then sign up for more information. And now you can then get that opt-in, which is so vital, to then send them an email message. So now you've taken them from mobile to email, and now you have a richer profile. You have at least two channels to engage them with, and hopefully you've got a decent amount of information that you can personalize the information. You've asked just the right amount of questions because you don't want to overload them, and then take that relationship to the next level.
So all this is awesome. All this is great.
But
why should the average Salesforce admin care about Marketing Cloud?
Because their CMO says so.
Well, that's relevant.
I don't have a CMO.
Isn't that you?
I'm more director VP level.
You're the number 2 person in the company.
And
so the last thing I heard is that Salesforce is treating Marketing Cloud as their biggest growing cloud right now.
I've been hearing that a lot lately.
Yeah, which would explain the interesting phone calls I get from Salesforce regarding Pardot and Marketing Cloud.
Yeah. So
is this the sort of thing that like an admin should try to learn? It is quite different from Salesforce.
Yes. It is.
Is there something that they should learn to support? I mean, do they need to know, hey, this is everything you can do in Marketing Cloud and this is how to build? Or do they need to understand how the two systems work together?
They need to understand at a minimum how the systems work together, how they integrate, how they support, and what information it's accessing. Do they necessarily need to go gung-ho into how to build an email? No. That is a very big jump that the average admin should not be expected to make. If it's a smaller organization, that maybe doesn't have the head count or the budget to have, say, a dedicated, marketing team or outsource to an agency, fine. But generally speaking, the more creative components to the Marketing Cloud are going to be handled by, probably, some combination of web developer, marketing, more people who are more involved in sort of that side of the business or organization if you're not necessarily a commercial entity. However, you really should understand how it works together. Security, data, understanding how the data is tied together, what data is accessible, what data is not, what actions can be taken, what's realistic, what's not, all of that definitely.
Why you should burn a whole license just for a Marketing Cloud connection versus using one of the existing ones. I mean, that's $100+ investment every month.
For
someone's bitter.
No, not bitter. It's a very common thing because it's always a recommendation I make to people who are going to do API integrations with systems is buy a license specifically for that integration and use that versus, say, using the admin's login. Okay. But not a lot of people think like that. They'll think, oh, well, our marketing person has a Salesforce login. We'll use the marketing person's login.
I would agree that you should have or utilize dedicated API users whenever that is feasible. And if it's not, I would suggest you find a way to make that feasible so that it is dedicated for a number of reasons. One, people come and go. You don't want, the average user to walk out and then, hey, we turn them off and, oh, wait, what happened to our integration? It's down.
That's a great point. I mean, people probably realize that when Mark's Salesforce user got frozen when he left the WizardCast, everyone stopped getting email notifications.
Wait, that you didn't tell me you froze. All right,
have you been able to access the org? No, of course not, because you don't read the script, so you probably didn't even notice. So one is prevent interruptions. What's the next one, Chris?
The next one is for the efficiency. So from an audit trail perspective, knowing if something is changing or being changed in one system or another, you know who's really doing it, as opposed to the random gremlin, or because Mark posted his login and password to the internet, and then somebody is in there banging around and sending out random.
I don't work for Deloitte, okay?
It's okay, Mark. We know it just got released as part of the Equifax breach. It's fine. So yeah, and I love that as a reason, because I have experienced this where we had a company that we were integrating with, and they ended up overwriting all of our price books. And I was able to say, this is them that did it. It wasn't me that did it or some other admin at the company, because of the fact we had a dedicated user for that.
Yes. And on a related note, I've seen organizations that have wanted to basically double up their API users and use them for more than one purpose, which refer back to the previous point. How do you know what actually caused that change in your environment? And
I mean, I understand the desire, right? It's about cost savings. Why should I pay $100 and whatever your monthly user cost is going to be when you already paid one just for an API cost? I don't know about you, Chris, but I always think, what is going to be more timely, more expensive, trying to figure out what the heck happened and who caused what, or the peace of mind of knowing that you have a dedicated user that you're going to be able to immediately figure that out.
It just takes one catastrophic event to prove
or
that
even
value.
A non-catastrophic event.
Yeah, well, true.
Right?
True.
Just having someone going through and suddenly updating 100,000 contacts in the system and not knowing what's going on, being able to say, oh, yes, that was done because of XYZ integration. There. That took me less than 30 seconds, and you didn't pay your dedicated admin hours of time to try to figure out what happened.
Exactly.
And here's another wonderful reason for this. Security of access. Because if you have a special user, that means you can have a separate permission set, separate profile for them. And you can say, hey, they may have complete access to all contacts and leads in the systems, but they don't get the touch opportunities. Or they don't get to touch your custom objects out there. So for a fact that if something happens and someone breaches the security of that user, which hopefully it's unlikely, but can happen, that if something happens like that all they're going to be able to access are the records that you gave them permission so it could do the job of the integration. They don't get free reign across the board.
No, I would definitely agree with that.
I feel like we really brought this podcast down, and we need to lift it up with some optimism.
Wow.
Right?
Absolutely.
I mean, this is kind of heavy.
Yeah. Let me go grab some beers and pass that through. I mean, let's liven this up a little bit. Can we get some music or something up in here? I mean, Dreamforce is right around the corner.
No, I don't think we really melded well.
That's not good.
That's terrible.
Can we get a little techno beat?
Boots and cats and boots and cats and boots and cats.
All right. Well, build me up, Chris. Give me a reason to be excited. Why? Give me a good thing for if I'm an admin listening to this podcast, and this is the first time I somehow managed to hear about Marketing Cloud instead of all the stuff that Salesforce has been putting out. Why should I go and look into it further? Other than this fact that you think my chief marketing officer wants me to.
I would say job security and opportunity. It is, you think about how hot the Salesforce ecosystem is in a lot of ways. There's a lot of people who are, coming in with not a lot of experience and are getting a lot of opportunity to, advance in their careers. Now, if you're an experienced admin, this is a potential game changer because Marketing Cloud is different. It's not, hey, just go pick up, Marketing Cloud. Now, I will say it's not rocket science, but it is different. So there's an opportunity to add to your skill set. One, know what's touching your system, number one. So, having that skill set under your hat is great. So, it makes you more valuable to your organization. Again, also, if you are potentially in the market or looking to, do something else, expand, or maybe looking for new opportunities, again, there's even fewer people who understand Marketing Cloud and Pardot than there is Salesforce. And so with such a small pool of, available resources, when an opportunity opens up, they close really, it's really hard to fill them with quality people who understand what it is that it takes to manage that system.
And that doesn't mean that you have to be a creative content generator or anything of that level. I mean,
Correct.
You could be a technical expert on the platform and have someone else do the wonderful HTML, CSS design that might be needed on your landing pages or your emails and things like that.
Correct.
And I will say this, at least I can't speak for Marketing Cloud because I unfortunately have not had an opportunity to get my grubby little hands on the system. But I did a Pardot implementation for my own company at the beginning of the year, and then I did a customer implementation of Pardot. And I can say from a technical standpoint, if you know Salesforce, understanding the technical parts of Pardot is actually pretty straightforward and easy. The tough part is the strategy and the content.
Yep.
Right? Building things out and figuring out how to create a list of people and how to send out emails and the journeys, that is easy peasy. You guys could, a person with some familiarity in how Salesforce works, just in general, probably can learn it within a week or two.
Definitely is worth the investment. And, I would say this, you focus on the technical side, understand how to administer the system, just by being in it and involved. You are going to be exposed to some of those areas. So you don't necessarily have to become a creative, a content creator per se, but the content, if it's, the more advanced and the more personalized it becomes, the more integrated it is and utilizes data points and understanding how it gets sent out. So again, you have this opportunity to learn a additional skills and processes within the system just by being in it on a daily basis, making sure that it is optimized and running at peak efficiency, that the processes that are in place are operating as expected. So it's definitely just that opportunity for growth, regardless of your situation of employment. It's really, it's a great skill to have, and it definitely will make you more valuable to people who are looking for you or even to your existing organization.
Carry on. It's party on. How should we end this?
Do I get the job? Let's.
We'll call you. We'll call you.
Well, what's this we? It's my podcast, Mark.
I won't take no for an answer.
Next time you come to Brat Force, we'll talk, Chris.
Brat Force, or is it Brat Force?
It's Brat Force.
Okay. So I make sure we've all had some.
If you go to Brat Force, you'll be surrounded by a whole bunch of 6-year-olds high on sugar.
And
if you go to buy Brat Force, you get some German sausage.
I'm just gonna let that one go.
Let what go?
Nothing. It's good to be back.
Anyway, Chris, when you do come to Brat Force, which I highly recommend you do, because it's really cool. You get all the brats you want for just like a couple bucks. It's always really important that when you grab the bun, you hold it firm as you're layering on your condiments, because the last thing you want to do is your brat to slip out and make a mess all over. The one thing I absolutely learned the hard way is that when you are using the jar to get your condiments, don't push down too hardly, otherwise it will squirt everywhere, and it makes a horrible mess, and it smells bad, and it stains, and it's not fun for anyone.
Sounds like you're speaking from a lot of experience.
Oh, I go to Bratwurst almost every year. Mark, why are you making that face?
What face? I don't know what you're talking about.
How are we going to end this interview again?
I don't know. I think I'm done. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chris, for joining us.
I'm
I
sorry,
really
Chris.
appreciate that. I'm actually very impressed Mark was able to get you on such short notice. I guess I might want to consider maybe letting him back on the podcast.
Oh,
We'll
my
see.
God. Oh, jeez.
I really did like Jillian and Amber. They did such a fantastic job.
Yeah, but they're not here, Brian. Where are they, Brian? Where are they?
I don't know. They keep disappearing.
Yeah.
You disappeared, then Jillian disappeared, now Amber's disappeared.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. It's almost as
You
if
came back.
Somebody had to, go out of the country for a little bit to evade any sort of law enforcement. And
Taxes.
then, sure. Yeah, it could be
Are you
taxes.
saying Jillian and Amber is doing tax evasion in a different country?
Yeah, sure, let's do that. That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
But I just was talking to them on Twitter.
They're sneaky. They've got you
They're
fooled.
a little shady. Yeah.
It's not at all anybody else actually tweeting on their accounts on their behalf because they're no longer alive. So are we done? Are we wrapped up?
WizardCast is produced by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, directed by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, technical administration by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, script writing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, audio editing by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, website maintenance by Brian Kwong and Mark Ross, and our intern in this episode was Amber Boaz, who never showed up for work, and Mark is petting his kitty.
Send us your interview suggestions, jokes, videos, tips, and feedback to WizardCast@WizardNews.com or head over to the WizardNews.com and click Contact WizardCast, you cute little boy. Yes, you are.
Don't forget to subscribe to the WizardCast and receive our next episode automagically.
And please post reviews on iTunes and share this episode around. It helps others to discover us.
Once again, I'm Brian.
And I'm the new Amber Bruce.
Thanks for listening. So, why were you monitored by Interpol?
Nothing. Did you know, Brian, that it's all you need is equal parts orange juice and gasoline? You have napalm? Oh, nothing. Did you know, Brian, that there are some quality games with lots of anime boobs in them? Nothing. Did you know that there are certain pages in the Dungeons and Dragons monster manual that can actually be used to summon demons? Did you know that it's illegal in 40 states to actually separate your Oreos before you eat them?
Did you know it's considered sodomy to use a Yoda puppet with your left hand only?
Okay, now who's worried about the G-rated?